NSCSD graduate of the North Syracuse. Our Director of Fine Arts, Mr. Redmond. Gotta look for the Jerry Garcia tie and I can find it.
I think, yep. Good evening, everyone, and thank you. The Director of Fine Arts is a new position, and there's been a lot of new and exciting responsibilities that have come along with it. Probably one of the most exciting is having the opportunity to recognize the great things that are going on within the music and art department. Tonight, we're focusing on 7 students who have excelled on their instrument or voice, working very hard and having the opportunity to be selected as a member of or an alternate to groups at various levels. The first student that I want to acknowledge tonight, recognize, is Abigail Gable. She is, she is a student at the junior high school, French horn player, and she was accepted to participate in the junior high area all-state, which is one of our regional groups made up in zone 7. The next student is Andrea Iqbal. Andrea was selected to participate at the state level. She was accepted and will be performing not this weekend, but the following weekend at the Eastman Theater in Rochester, New York, as a member of the All-State Symphonic Band. Andrea? The next student is Ava Tyler. Ava also has been selected to perform at the Conference All-State, the New York State School Music Association, for the Conference All-State in Vocal Jazz Ensemble. And she will not be participating or performing at the Eastman Theater, but the Innovation Square Theater, which is a wonderful, wonderful location. Ava, please come on up. Thank you. The next 4 students also have been recognized at the state level. They are accepted as alternates to perform in the all-state groups. Some know what group they would be participating in. Some do not because of their instrument or their voice part. The sad thing about Conference All-State is there's just not enough seats for everybody, but these students are performing at the same level as the students that were selected to participate. Again, there just isn't enough room for everyone, unfortunately. So I'd like to start by recognizing Aiden Hanas. Did I get that correct? No, Hannes. Hannes, I'm sorry. Come on up, Aiden. Aiden is a jazz bass player and is accepted as an alternate to the Instrumental Jazz Ensemble. The next student, Natalie Miles. Please come on up, Natalie. Also an alternate to Conference All-State. Lydia Morris, also an alternate to Conference All-State. And certainly, last but not least, Madeline Hiltz. Please come on up, Madeline. So these students have worked extremely hard with the help of their friends and family and teachers in school, have found success at various levels, whether it's regionally or at the state level. One round of applause, please, for all these students.
I think before we leave, our PR person would like to get a photograph. Would you like to do it up here or?
So this is my desire really just to kind of share some maybe a fringe thing that you might not actually know is going on in our district. We have approximately 45 recognized Native American students in our district, and up from about 38, 39 last year. So we're continuing to increase. And kind of the exciting thing that has happened over the last couple of years with our Native American students is when approximately 2 years ago, we were only providing tutoring services and reimbursement for our students. And over the last couple of years and meeting with some of the parents, they said, hey, we'd really like to kind of ground ourselves back in supporting our students and our children's understanding of their actual culture. And so I'm kind of excited to share that we had our first cultural event this last week. We had a young man who graduated from Syracuse University named Ethan Tayo, who has been actually featured in New York Times and did some great stuff with Syracuse University and establishing a garden up in Syracuse University called the Three Sisters Garden. The three sisters are corn, beans, and squash, and he did an entire food presentation for a couple of our families, our Native American families. Real neat opportunity for those families to connect, but it has kind of continued what we have tried to do with expanding our reach and the federal grant that provides resources for our Native American students beyond just tutoring and reimbursement of things like college admissions, of things like AP exams, maybe college credit during high school. And so we've been able to do that. We've already reimbursed over $1,500 this year and expect to continue to reimburse. The grant provides approximately $22,000 to $23,000 every year for us to do this type of stuff. And we've had some really great reception from our parents. We actually even have a couple of families in the audience that are here that were here last week as a part of that, as well as Ms. Robillard is with us as well. She's our social worker that has really helped connect some of our families up at the high school. We had two of our Native American students, Camden Bembry and Reese Balduzzi, get recognized at the national level for how they performed on AP exams. So just and several of our seniors are applying to colleges that would wow any of us in here. So it's really exciting to be a part of something that may not seem like this really big thing because it's only, you may think servicing 45 students, but it's kind of expanding past that as well, because we have a class, a cultural class, led by Jessica Keen up at the high school, who is also connecting with Miss Robillard and doing some really great stuff with Native American culture and teaching students who are not even Native about some of those things. So I just wanted to share that there are some really cool things that you may never have heard as a board. And I'm like, ask Jill, hey, can I get on just for a second and share that? So I wanted to let you guys all know, and thank you for giving me the time.
Have the building planning. Once again, you hear me? What? Okay. Hey, nice. Once again, I'm Connie Touros. I'm the building principal at the junior high school. I brought with me tonight Kristen Hill, one of my associate principals. Kelly Moen is one of our BPT coaches. Yanko is my other associate principal. We'd like to thank you for allowing us to come tonight to kind of present what's going on at the junior high school, and we'll get started. I am, okay. Wow, I didn't know I was doing this slide. Okay. These are our building demographics for this year. You can see our enrollment is down slightly. And those of you who have been around as long as I have, you know that the junior high school at one time was almost 800. And now we are down below 1,300 at 1,227. You can see that we've gone up in some areas, down in some areas. We do have a smaller 8th grade class this year than we've ever had. That's under 600. And our 9th grade class is running at about 630. But you can see from our numbers, those pieces in terms of the number of 8th graders, the number of 9th grade graders are reflected in what we have up here. There's a slight decrease. Some of our special programs have grown, others have gone smaller, but it's a nice balance in terms of what we go. And in fact, talking to Mr. Leahy, we are probably about 80 to 90% capacity. And for many years, we've been well over 100% capacity. So now it's kind of nicer moving through the halls simply because we don't have as many kids as we've had in the past. But it's a good number in terms of working with. And again, we've gone down about 51 kids from this year. Next year, we should go up a little bit again because the incoming class is about 600. So kind of balances out in terms of what we're doing. Okay?
All right, our mission and our visions. We have now am I good? Start over. All right, so we have tweaked our mission and our vision a little bit this year. So for those who didn't hear me, our mission is to maximize every student's academic potential and personal responsibility. Our vision, all students and staff at North Syracuse Junior High School are physically and emotionally safe, engaged in the learning process, and part of the school community. Support students academically and emotionally to maximize their potential as productive citizens.
We've just started the professional learning community process. It's been an ongoing thing for approximately about a year, but we have struggled in terms of trying to get it going because it means that those curriculum teams that we have that are now meeting are meeting after school in a very short period of time. After school, we only have probably about 35 to 40 minutes after the kids leave each day. And one of the things that has competed with creating the curriculum teams that feed into us becoming a true professional learning community is the fact that many of our teachers do a lot of their interventions after school. And also, obviously, that's what our clubs and all of our activities meet. So there's a real kind of push and pull, the need for curriculum teams and having teachers of similar curriculum meet together to do what they need to do, but also the need to help students with interventions after school. So what we're doing is we currently are doing what we're calling a PLC Lite. which means we are not meeting every single week, but we are meeting about every other week. On a Thursday afternoon, the curriculum teams are in process, and many of them have actually been meeting since the beginning of the year because of new curriculums or new piloting they are doing, especially in English and in math. But we started about 3 weeks ago. What we're doing is we're meeting, we set up our norms, we're working towards understanding our standards, our essential standards, and then going to move very quickly into those formative assessments as we move through the year. So we've started, we're going to continue, we're going to keep moving to a point where hopefully we will be meeting every single week, but for now, we're kind of a PLC light. You know, I want to thank Barb Phillips and Greg Stone because they've been helping us in terms of moving this forward in terms of the value of the curriculum teams. And it's hard to get a group of teachers to sit down and talk to each other about those meaningful things. But I think now that we're doing that, it's going to become an important part of our culture at the junior high school.
One of the goals that we have is that 80% of the students leaving the junior high will do so with 5 credits. As you all know, the minimum required for students is 22. We feel that if they can leave the that solid foundation going up to CNS, they are in good shape towards graduation. I'd like to see all students take an art or a music credit as they need for the graduation. We would like time they leave world languages credit, at least a minimum of 1 world language credit. We'd like to see them all have credits in math, science, ELA, and global. And then obviously our facts department and our technology department works electives that they need, where it's again that minimum of 22. That puts them on a really good road, so that when they go up and become 10th graders, records as they progress from year to year, 9th grade, and then up to CNS.
And then tying right into graduation rate is our chronic absenteeism goal. I would like to note we have made improvements every year in terms of chronic absenteeism, and this year our goal is to be at 16% or lower. Our primary strategy to combat chronic absenteeism is really focused on building those relationships. So we really encourage our teachers and our school counselors to get to know their students, reach out to parents and families. And then additionally, we have STAR meetings at student at-risk teams. We have those twice a month. We continue our communication with families. We send attendance letters, and that really opens up the line of communication with administration. We have our NSCSD Connect program, which is our mentor program. We continue to use Promise Zone, our student engagement specialist, and we continue to send those access referrals out to Access. Jackie, our Access liaison, I'd love to get a shout out to her. She is wonderful. She meets with us monthly and really is working every week with our students that we refer to her. So she's been a great resource for us.
Okay, so our next couple slides are just about data. We have our ELA data. We use web, which we give 3 times a year. And our goal here is to increase by 6%, as you can see, climbing for the Ames Web on the ELA. And the New York State test, also we made a pretty good jump last year from 42% to 48%. Oh no, sorry, from 36% to 42%, and hoping to jump up to 48%. Our math, we use the same resources, Ames Web and the New York State test. So the Ames Web has been a little bit on the lower side, inconsistent. We went down a little bit. We're hoping to jump up to 62%, where we're very proud of our New York State Math 8 test scores, went from 30% to 44%. And is to increase the number of students scoring advanced levels by 6%. Plus the New York State assessments and our region scores as well. What we're doing to do that is all teachers have I-10 statements or learning targets posted. During our team meetings, we focus on essential standards and common assessments. now have a math workshop in both the 8th grade and the 9th grade level. Reading interventions are power up and really great reading. We have math help new this year, used all 8 blocks is assigned to math help, and it was brought up our last PPT meeting that it's working. We are collecting data and all that good stuff, so that's been a great resource. And there's a new implementation of the ELA English.
All right, as you know, at the junior high school, our 9th grade students all take Regents exams, but also our 8th grade accelerated students take Regents exams. I'll start kind of in the middle. Note that geometry and physics, those are 9th graders that have been accelerated in 8th grade. The geometry students take earth science in 8th grade, and the physics students take earth science in 8th grade, or algebra in 8th grade, the physics students take earth science. Those students always do very well, and you can see that's 96% of those kids do pass that. I don't think a single one of them had to use the piece last year where they could catch and go from 50 to 64. Most of those kids average in the mastery level of 85% or higher, so they do very well. Our Algebra 1 kids are kind of a mix. They are mostly 9th graders, but we do test approximately 140 students in Algebra 1 in 8th grade. And altogether, there's an 86% proficiency piece. Same thing with earth science. There's about 100 students in 8th grade that take the earth science, but the rest of those are 9th graders. Living environment is, I'm not going to say is disappointing, it's troubling, I guess would be the phrase that I would use. Had 127 students take that, and 35% of those students, and we all sit around and we try to figure out why this happened. We tend to put in the living environment those students that are not as strong in math because they struggle in the earth science, but unfortunately, along with them struggling in math, they also struggle in reading. And we have found that the living environment Regents exam has a very high reading level. In fact, I took some data on this. Of the 136 kids that are currently registered in living environment, over 90 of them are reading at the basic or below basic level. So we're setting them up to come into a Regents exam that even if they knew all the pieces of living environment, which next year is going to be called biology again, going to struggle with the reading. So that's one of the focuses that we have on that. We have to also work with them in their reading as long as their knowledge of living environment. One of the pieces too that I don't think many people realize is we all the time are comparing earth science and living environment. Earth science students take a lab practical. It's worth 16 points. It's been the same lab practical for 10 years or more. So earth science teachers have that piece where they are able to actually help prepare kids for the lab practical before they take it, which tends to be a way to get 16 points right off the top. Living environment does not have a lab practical. What they have is Part D of the Regents exam. Part D of the Regents exam used to be based on the 4 major labs that they did in living environment. No longer is that true. The state of New York has switched that around in the last couple of years, where it's become a conceptual piece that's not based on those labs anymore, but it's based on the application of other pieces of data. So not only do you have students who do not have a knowledge of what's going into that exam, but you also have the reading piece where we're struggling. So this is an area where we struggle. We know we need the living environment, the biology exam to try to get those kids that Regents credit in science, because at this point they're going to struggle in the earth science. But on the other hand, we're challenged by the reading level, which is 9th or 10th grade in the living environment. So we've got some work to do in the living environment.
Ask a question while we're on this chart still.
Sure.
Just so you said the Algebra 1, you have 2 questions. Mix of 8, accelerated 8. You're an accelerated 8th grader in Algebra 1, where do you go?
Go to geometry.
Environment, when are they, if you're taking a group that you don't feel is gonna work well in earth science because of the math component, talking about,
They're all 9th graders. We
All
don't have
9th
any 8th
graders?
graders in living environment.
when are they last exposed to a environment type curriculum? Like what is the regular 8th grade science?
Regular eighth grade science is more of a physical science with some earth science. Next year is actually going to have more components, and Mr. Rice has probably already come and talked a little bit about the change in the state in the Science 8 test. The last time that they've had living environment usually comes in the middle school level. They don't usually have any living environment in eighth grade. It's in seventh grade that they've touched on biology and living environment. So there's a gap in there in terms of the preparation. So they've had a gap between seventh and ninth grade. Next year, Math 8 is going to pick up some additional science pieces, but certainly not enough that it's going to prepare them more at living environment. The pieces we struggle with in living environment isn't so much the content, it is at the reading level.
You're absolutely right. I'm familiar with that course. It's a reading test. Figuring out
Or
what the
so.
question is asking is the biggest. Thank you.
And our final BPT goal focuses on emotional competencies. In October, we administered our BIMAS student self-assessment to all of our eighth grade students. And again, we kept our same goal, focusing on the area of responsible decision-making. We noted every year in this age group, it's an area where many of our students continue to need support. And again, it's the same thing I said with chronic absenteeism. We're looking really at relationship building. So relationships between student to teacher, and then all the other support staff. So some of our strategies, we really are anchoring to our STAR core values and our core value behavior matrix that our restorative practice committee worked on over the summer. We have 2 social workers, and we continue to utilize our school counselors. We have our restorative practice committee that meets twice a month, and we share strategies and also share out practices and knowledge with the entire building. We have our student engagement specialist with Promise Zone. We have a full-time Liberty Resource counselor, and then we have a half-time counselor that we share with Gillette through Liberty Resources. Again, access, and then our NSJHS Connect mentor program. Next slide. Oh, nope, celebration.
No, this is what makes it all worth it, right? Celebration. So if you can see, we do a variety of things throughout the year, starting our kickoff with our annual hot dog roast where the eighth graders get to walk the building. The hot dog there's cooked by this wonderful staff that we have. And we have a variety of clubs and activities going on. 9 new ones, I believe, this club fair. So the kids know what clubs are being offered. It's offered during lunchtime, and there's booths and run by other students or staff. They can see all the different opportunities that they have. Month celebrations continue. Positivity Project. Marcy, the therapy dog, she's great and makes everybody happy. So I brought my class down there once, 15 minutes of a little dog therapy. Great. Of course, I mentioned NSJH Connect, our mentor program. We have monthly celebrations there. We just had one last week and ended it with a circle. And it's kind of neat. I asked like what their favorite part of that, we call them celebrations, was, and a 9th grade student said, I'm one of the older ones and I really like to see new faces and encourage these guys to come every month. So that was really great. We have 4D Productions that puts on all Common Grounds Coffee Club, action meetings, parent breakfast, merit ice cream celebrations, positive postcards. Got a stack of them available in the office. Teachers can come in, just positive notes. So it's kind of nice to get in the mail. Restorative Practice Committee, Kristen touched on that we meet twice a month. And we had a new open house format that seemed to get really good positive feedback. And many, many more that we're forgetting, but that's all that we put on the slide. I'd like to thank all of our BPT members. Yeah.
Questions? Yes, Thomas.
So this is really more just of just a question out of curiosity. So you guys said that for the 6.5 credits that you wanted to get from the junior high to high school, you said that you want about 80% of students. I was just curious, like, as to why you guys picked like 80% for the number. Like, is that an increase from how it's been typically trends wise, or is that just like a number that you guys are aiming for? Yes. So your plan is to like try and do that with like electives and such that give college, that, high school credit. Thank you.
The question, oh,
Crabtree? Yes.
comment. I wanted to talk about one of the clubs. I don't think these are working really well tonight. Analogy, your builders club, your builders club and in charge are amazing. Just, they go out in the community. They do so much for Meals on Wheels. It's a great club, and they moved up to the high school, and the Optimist Club have grabbed them. So I just want you to know that, but you should be very pleased, with that club. They mean a lot to the community.
Working on, they're working on Beaverton now.
I'd like to make a quick comment if I can.
Yeah, can I ask you a quick question about the math? Like the Ames Web went down a little and then the other one went up pretty good chunk. Are they different tests? Is that fluke? Like which one's better? I think that one's better.
Yeah, I'd love to answer that, but I'm not.
We don't get feedback yet. On Marie Norton. Oh, we made a great job. I personally did a little dance. Not only was our participant, also the kids did better. Probably less than 10 kids. On the year we hit 20. So we're seeing a move less than proficient, all understanding the test step. Also, we have more kids. We did give them a little incentive. Kind of keep getting their participation. Go up incrementally. But it's measured. I was here, Kelly was there. Gotten better with those tests, and I think I don't know about everybody else. I think some of 14%. I couldn't tell anybody, and I just wanted to tell how we did. So we
I have a quick comment I'd like to make. It's regarding the emotional competencies. First of all, I mean, 8th and 9th grade is a unique age in a child's development. So a lot of patience. Thanks for all you're doing with that age group. I'm looking here and I'm seeing high risk at 15% and then concern at 25%. I mean, usually when we, and maybe I'm off here, but usually when we look at that pyramid, you know, there's 80% that, you know, we're meeting the needs of, and then there's the tier 2 where you have another percentage. And then usually at the top, it's like 5% of the kids that are high risk. So as I said, it concerns me, but it doesn't surprise me. It's a unique time in a child's development. Do you feel like there is enough support for all the needs of the kids at this age level emotionally?
Gotten better because now we have 6 guidance counselors. I have 2 social workers, psychologists, but I think we are seeing more. I think we are seeing some greater issues than we've struggled with before, and not so much from our population that's been with us, but incoming. This year especially, we've had a number of students that are struggling more than we've ever known, and we are having some trouble understanding what we need to do. And I'm thankful for all the support we have. I know when this test is given, when the biomass is given, the counselors and the social workers, everybody works as a team to make sure that those kids that score a 4 that are come down, and we meet with them, and then we go down and meet with every single one. I think there's a lot more anxiety, and I'm not sure exactly where that's coming from. Sometimes it comes, I think, from we're still getting over the COVID pieces. Sometimes I think the kids are coming to us from the middle school and we're recognizing that and meeting with them. Sometimes I think that it's the thing to do. You know, we have kids, well, this kid's got anxiety, so I must have anxiety too, this type of thing. It's a kind of a contagion thing. But I think we're continuing to work on it. I think that we have good support in the building, but I think too, we have some tougher cases that are taking more time in terms of making sure we get them to the appropriate places and the appropriate help. You know, for example, if I have a student that has a major suspension and they come back to school, we always meet to have kind of like a safety plan in place so that we know how to work with them so that there's better things going on. But I'm not always sure we're meeting the needs of every single kid. We work at it.
I did not add this, and I probably should have. If you're unfamiliar with the BIMAS, the student self-assessment piece, it asks them to rate their there's like 31 questions, I believe, to rate over the last 7 to 10 days they're feeling. So if someone had a really bad week, just like every other test, it's one snapshot, one little piece of data for that moment in time. So I do feel like sometimes the data is skewed, although I agree with everything Connie said. We are still seeing, there are a lot of behaviors and anxiety and different things that students are struggling with that sometimes we just are at a loss and don't know how to support them in school.
I don't have the data in my head, but I could certainly go back to it from prior buildings. But I'm curious. I mean, as I said, again, looking at this level in child development. But I'm curious, are other schools at this level where I'm seeing high risk and concern? I mean, we're looking at 40% of the kids, and that like hurts my heart. So I'm just going to go back and kind of do my own research and look at like what were the elementary schools, what were their scores, what's the high school scores on the BIMAS, and just look, because that, as I said, just in humanity in general, that just concerns me. There's a lot that these kids are dealing with, and I know that's a lot for the staff to be dealing with. Thank you.
Other comments or questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. All right, next we have the Cicero North Syracuse High School Building Planning Team. You're already on the way up, but you're taking.
evening.
Good evening. Don't take the mass exodus personally, but
I won't. It's okay.
they did stay for the junior high.
They were here for the really important stuff. Hello?
I hear you.
Maybe I'll
fine.
just move it closer. Yeah. We'll pass this one work too. How's this? Okay. I feel like I'm too close to it or something. Thanks, Thomas. I don't like the sound.
Is that a karaoke mic? Yeah, it's one of those echo kick.
How about we use this one and we'll pass it. We'll pass the mic. Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for having us tonight. My name is Jamie Sullivan. I'm the executive principal. I brought my whole team with us. Ann Lorenzini, she is our House 2 principal. Heather Pukta is our House 1 principal. Greg Broughton is our BPT chair. And Dave Babican is the NSCA chair. As you can see up here, this is our table of contents for the evening. We've got a lot of information to share with you and a lot of great celebrations at the end. Here's our building mission and vision. We did draft this a while ago. However, we feel as though it's still, it connects to our kids and connects to the time that we're living in right now. So our mission is to provide educational experiences and opportunities that inspire our students to reach their individual potential as productive citizens in an ever-changing world. And our vision is that we are committed and focused on building individual connections with students, along with having high expectations that support their academic success to create a community of respect and responsibility. For our building demographics, we are up a few students from last year. We have one additional staff member than we did last year, so we're at 1773 total enrollment. This year we have 213 staff. Much like Connie, we have our 15-to-1 CTD and ENL programs for our students. We did jump up for our free and reduced lunch. We went from 33.1% last year to 37.8%, but I still think that's low for us. I think we have more students that could fill out that application, and we've talked about different ways to get that application into our kids' hands and their parents' hands. Last year, we had 302 transient students, and so far since September 7th, we've had 52 so far. So our overarching goal for CNS is always to improve our graduation rate. All of our other goals that we work on, it ties directly to increasing graduation rate. What you can see up in front of you, one of our goals is to increase the reading proficiency. All staff will incorporate selected academic vocabulary words into their weekly lessons. We are focusing on student self-management. So helping students to develop skills to manage their emotions, stress, goal setting, and organizational strategies. They're crucial for their personal goal. We also are doing all hands on deck with our student attendance, with our administrative staff, our counseling staff, and our teaching staff. We have a great spreadsheet that tracks our absent students, and we are touching base with the kids that we're concerned about. We don't want them to reach the threshold of 18 absences, so we're touching base with them. We're meeting with them. We talked today at our administration meeting. We're going to start doing home visits. So we really want to engage those students back in school. And we've also started something new this year, which is Star Time. Many of you have heard us talk about Walk Across for the past, 3 years since COVID. Walk Across was our baby born out of COVID to try to get more of our seniors to be able to walk across. Well, it's not just our seniors that need the additional help. Our 10th and 11th graders need that additional help too. So we have Star Time, which is what we called it, and we run it every single block. So we have 8 blocks of it. And it is sort of a teacher-led study hall that the teacher helps students break
down assignments, monitor assignments, work on organizational skills, work on SEL skills. They really help kids with wherever their deficit is. So here you can see our graduation rate for the past 3 years. In 2021, we were at 90%. In 2022, we were at 90%. And even though it's not officially released yet, we are at 91%. Our goal last year was to increase by 1%, and we did it. I am so excited. So we're at 91%. And if you take a look, these are the New York State graduation rates. You know, we're beating them and we're doing really, really well. 2023 hasn't been released yet officially, but fingers crossed that we're still beating the New York State rates.
One of the things we think about with the graduation rates, obviously, is our students' reading proficiency. And one of the things we look at, obviously, is our English regents. Our students have historically done very well on the English regents. But when you look at that mastery level, I think that's the piece that we always try to get up. Those students that fall between 65 and 84%. There's so much room to get them above 85% and get them to mastery rate. So that's where we focus on with this. Just for your own information, we looked up the New York State passing rate for 2022, and it was 81% passed. So we're a little bit ahead of most of New York State on that too. One of the things we're working on with our reading goal is academic vocabulary. We had a nice conversation with our BPT in the spring about formulating a group of words that we could use throughout the school each week, teachers focusing on a word a week. Notice that they're going to be placed around the buildings. We have them everywhere. They're on our announcements every week. All students and parents received each word. And I'm happy to say, and I think my team will agree with me, I've been in observations where they're using the word. So that's really nice to see. You can see that these words were purposely chosen. Our BPT really helped us hone in on the words that we see on our Regents exam. Somebody earlier was commenting on the living environment exam being a reading exam. That's what we're noticing. So if the students can go into some of these assessments knowing what these words mean and used to, you know, using them and understanding them, we feel it'll help them out.
Okay, so for increasing social emotional competencies, we have the staff will work with students that struggle with strategies and aiding in their self-management. So self-management, as Ms. Sullivan stated earlier, students who struggle with this, they have difficulty with organization, managing their emotions, handling stress, and they may need some help with their thoughts and behaviors. So on the first bullet there, you can see the different courses that we offer at CNS that help aid in this. Adulting 101, this is the second year that we've offered it. Star Time, again, this is the first year, which again is a takeoff from Walk Across. The second bullet, you can see we have the college fair. We had the ASVAB testing in October, and then we have it again coming up in December. The trades fair. Last week during all of the lunches, we had the first responders come in for all 3 lunches to meet with kids. Each house principal, our admin team, each month we meet with our team counselors on different dates during the month. And we also have the mental health staff there with us. And we discuss students and some supports that we can put into place for them. We refer students to social workers, Liberty Resources, their counselor contacts, school psychologists. We also have Nellie, the therapy dog. Obviously, we have parent-teacher conferences, meetings with students and with parents. Last week, as everybody knows in the district, it was National Random Act of Kindness Week. So both the staff and students participated in this each day last week. Oh, my clicker. Okay. So buy masks for the high school. Oh, there we go. Oh, sorry. Okay. So buy mask stands for the Behavior Intervention Monitoring System. I'm short.
It's a measure of the behavioral functioning of social and emotional skills in children and adolescents. So on this slide here, which was from the fall of last year, the 10th graders, you can see that 40% of our 10th graders had high risk for self-awareness and self-management. And then they struggled with those two things. Those were the pieces. The positive trend here, as you look across the top, you'll see that we have a very small percentage of students that are at high risk for social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. Let me go to the next slide. Okay, so this slide here, this is last year's 10th graders, which are this year's 11th graders. I want to point out again, the high risk here for self-awareness and self-management, there was a decrease. So 33%, usually the 19 and 13. Also social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making is still at a low percentage for the high risk category. We're seeing growth in our students from 10th grade to their 11th grade year. These students will be tested again with BIMAS in the spring and then again next fall. And now I'll turn it over to Dave Babican.
So one of the other things that we're doing new this year for the first time is PLCs. And a bunch of us have worked with Solution Tree and are starting to help other people there do it. But we started this right at the beginning of the year. We meet every Thursday. That'll end up being 31 times that we're meeting as teams for 50 minutes each. So every Thursday we do this. These teams have, they're a little tough. People are like, what are we doing? And now I think we're finding out how valuable they are. People are not just making lessons with each other in collaborating that way. We're analyzing data, and the picture up there, that's my team at the bottom. And I know we're going over a test right there and what we all got and what we could do better. And, where are we struggling? Where do we need to help kids? Things like that are some of the great things that we're getting in these teams. And also the way that we're switching to new exams like science this year, this is really helping those teams figure out how are we going to prepare kids for these new tests? How are we going to get them ready? So these PLCs are really a big benefit, I think, to the school so far.
I interrupt your lovely pace you got going in your stride and just, I don't want to go backwards on slides, but you PLC teams, what are they composed of? What I mean by that, are they grade level? Are they subject area? Are they mixture of both? Where do the specials go? A lot of questions in there.
Okay.
Oh, I wanted Mr. Babick to answer.
So for the most part, they're grade level teams. All of our global teachers meet with each other, US history, English 10. And typically for our smaller departments, like for our tech department, they all will meet together to discuss the learning standards that they're trying to meet and what it looks like in discussing rubrics. What we found is some of our elective areas will meet with each other. Like, for instance, I have a business teacher and an art teacher meeting together. And they're discussing ways that they can collaborate, how they can fuse their classes together, and how they can meet the needs of students. But for the elective areas, sometimes they might pair up with somebody else, or they'll meet within the entire group together, depending on their size.
Great, 50 minutes chunk of time to do that.
I can speak to science. I know in science, we've made the decision as a district to move ahead and switch over from, again, the living environment exam to the new biology exam, and also the earth science exam to the new earth and space science exam. Both of those courses are completely in line with the next gen science standards, along with the New York State standards. And a lot of it is all inquiry based. It's gone away from the old sit and get type stuff. So my department, as the science department chair, my department is predominantly using this time to look at that new curriculum, look at the new standards, and completely revamp their courses so that they're ready for next year to hit the ground running with it. So we're really appreciative of that time going through. So up here on the board, speaking as a science teacher, we have our math goal results from last year. And being that science teacher, I noticed that our numbers didn't match up with our labels. There is a typo on the slide. I was able to figure that out about 10 minutes ago.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, by the way, because I struggled with this all day.
That's what I
long.
figured. I
mean, a
figured.
Picture's supposed to be worth 1,000 words and graphs make, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you again.
Oh, no, no, not at all. Because I was looking
I
at,
thought there was something wrong.
I
with
was
these.
wondering why less than 65 and less than 78 didn't add up to
Okay.
a bigger number. That didn't make sense to me. But the typo is that less should be greater than. So, so the less than 65 is correct. The greater than 78 would make a lot more sense with the slide and what's going on. So the less than 65 is looking at level 1 and level 2. You know, last year it was our last year of having that special exemption there for the Regents exams. So now we're looking at the level 1, level 2. So those are technically students that are going forward this year that would have none of them would have gotten the Regents credit. And then we're also looking on this chart of looking at the students getting 4 and 5, which is proficiency. So we're missing the level 3s who are still passing, but yet not looking at that quote unquote mastery level. Now, within this, you know, paints a different picture than what we would want. However, the one thing that I do want to point out, another little side job that I have besides PPT chair and everything else, I work in the summertime with our credit recovery program here in the district. I'm also one of the credit recovery teachers during the school year. So I understand the benefit of just one kid getting one extra credit. And one of the things that the math department has really done is they really pushed for their students to maintain that high rigor, to stay in the Regents tract going through. And one thing that's not on this graph that I'd like to point out is in the Algebra 2, they had 56 additional students take the exam and challenge themselves on the exam this year. And of that grouping, 16 more students were able to get their credit. So we increased the number. Unfortunately, we didn't get all 56 through. But we were able to get those 16. And I know that number is going to be a big difference for those 16. You know, so we're going to address what the math department is doing with this and what they're trying to do forward on after the next slide. Here we have our geometry 2 exam, very similar. This one also has that same typo, copy it over. So we have our less than 65. Our less than 65 decreased. We had a win there. So we got 3% more of the students going through. We did lose a little bit in that mastery side. We had a corresponding, another 3% decrease in that. However, we also have 9 more students take this exam. And of those 9, we had 13 more students pass. So we were able to increase the passing percentage. Obviously, we didn't just make 4 more students, but increase that passing percentage through. So this was definitely a win on the side for geometry. No. Yeah. 9 more took it. So we got 13 more to pass it. So yeah, we increased it. Yes. Yeah. We got it. Well, thank you. Thank you. Our teacher too. So now with that said, going through the math department, they're taking a proactive approach to looking at their data now going forward. They're going to be using the data management side of eDoctrina, analyzing and assessing both the areas of unfinished learning for their students through their common formative assessments and benchmarks. The data collected will empower their collaborative teams during the PLC time to develop a tailored reteach and spiral action plans. These plans will not only bridge the gaps in students' understanding, but also provide a more holistic and effective learning experience, ensuring every student's mathematical focus. The other part of that as well is using that data to help work with the math workshop classes in order to prepare our highest need students for success during their tier 1 instruction within that time. So using the data from their actual topic tests to help drive that instruction during their math workshop time.
And now on to our building celebrations. We have many. So we kicked off the school year with our senior sunrise on the first day of school. Our students then participated in breast cancer awareness walk, boat races, and they decorated our hallways with the Activity Project. Our major fundraiser for pediatric cancer patients with Page's Butterfly raised $10,472.66, and that's just our district only. And CNS alone raised $2,589.21. This year, we hosted our annual college and trades fair in October, which we had 85 colleges and trades represented. We hosted our first responders fair, as Heather mentioned, during lunches for students to explore EMT, firefighting, police, criminal justice as a future career. First marking period, we handed out 105 North Star Pride Awards to our students who exhibit our core values of personal responsibility, respect, integrity, discipline, and engagement. Our students just presented Arsenic and Old Lace at the junior high, and our spring musical is the famous musical Mamma Mia. We inducted 22 students into Triumph National Honor Society. Our boys volleyball and girls soccer teams were sectional champs. This year, we have 174 students in our AM and PM BOCES and New Visions. Last year, we had 148, so we increased our BOCES enrollment by 26 students. And finally, our CNS marching band is the national division champions for the second year in a row. CNS has had a great start to the school year, and we can't wait to see what else we can do this year. These are our BPT members.
Question.
Would like to welcome questions.
Can I make a?
Yeah, sorry, I'm gonna go before you, Paul.
You're gonna go first?
Yeah.
You're gonna
no,
go first.
yeah,
Okay.
I just wanted to say that between the junior high and the high school, it's really encouraging to see that the high risk for the behaviors and the, danger in choice making, things like that, has gone down significantly from the junior high to the high school, which to me speaks to both of you at both schools at some level is doing something right there. So I appreciate that you're all doing that. And I know it obviously sounds like you have some great creative solutions. So I just wanted to say thanks and keep it up because, our kids really need that help. And if they can do that, they can succeed in the classroom.
We actually just talked this morning. We're going to pull the list of students that were at high risk for self-management, and we're going to try to pop them into STAR time. We think that'll be a good additional resource for those students.
Other questions?
Comment? Thanks. I just wanted to say, I love the adulting class. Like, my own kid took it. I know lots of parents and kids who have taken it, and it's just, maybe that should be mandatory. The adulting 101.
I clearly didn't have that when I was in school.
I don't know. I think Miss Salisbury's
awesome.
amazing. I don't know if
She's
there's
awesome.
another
Yeah.
teacher who does it or that just her. She's
I
great.
would take it.
Very good with the
I
kids.
need
and-
like 4 of her.
Right.
Because
Yes,
there's
I
such a
agree.
high demand for
I
that
agree.
class.
So I love, that's such a great addition.
I'm gonna make a comment, but I'll put it in the form of where you can correct me if I'm wrong. Because I think I want to take an opportunity to tie something together because my colleague over here asked a question of the junior high BPT about the state assessments, what kind of tests they were. And so tell me if I'm incorrect, but you look at these Regents numbers, which are good, they're great. And our graduation rate, Ms. Taros mentioned that they started those tests in 1999. I think they were ELA and math, and they were grades 4 and 8 only at the time. But they were never supposed to be a high stake test, as I recall. They were supposed to tell you if you were in line to meet that Regents. To pass the high stakes test, the Regents course, to get the high school credit for graduation. That was their purpose, and then they've turned into an animal themselves over many different reasons. But my point here is, she mentioned they're embargoed, they don't release them until they haven't been released yet. The point of them was to target interventions when you come into the new school year, so you're bringing those students up to speed so they can meet that goal of passing that, whether it be ELA 10, global, whatever the case may be. So am I sort of correct?
Yes.
Unless it's changed. I just wanted to, because there's a good opportunity, because you brought that up. To me, when I look at this data, and this is the end of the road for them with regards to what we're doing here at K-12, pre-K-12, sorry. They want Phil to get me on that one. But, we've reached our goal. They've graduated from high school and we got it at 91%, which is great. I just think it's sad that the 3A testing has become a animal of its own that is not, in my opinion, always in alignment with the goal of the Regents.
Weird, one went up and one went down. So that was,
Right.
yeah, I understand that. But thank you for that clarification.
It wasn't mean to, you know, we could talk later, I guess. Sorry. You were supposed to say, okay, or no. Correct me if you want though, or anything you want to add.
We're fortunate that the regents, we have the answers shortly after our students start the test.
Right.
So we are able to do some data analysis in the summer where the elementary
Well,
and middles are.
I don't mean
they
to
just
belabor this, it was late, but I mean, they had something called Data Mentor a decade or so ago, which they had the answers and the test questions into a database where you could drill down where you missed, where your weakness was, and they pulled that. The state pulled it to save money because they started using the state. It's unfortunate because that was invaluable. That was a question. Thank you. Okay, we're going to comment section for the public today, and the board does welcome the public to attend and observe during our meetings of the district. We welcome your comments on matters related to the district. A period of time not to exceed 30 minutes total set aside at regular meetings of the board for the purpose of hearing these comments. Board members will not engage in conversation or answer questions during this portion of the meeting, and issues involving particular students or employees are not permissible topics during the public meeting. Employee or student concerns should be addressed to the superintendent of the schools during regular business hours. We'll have one speaker per line. Each speaker is allowed up to 3 minutes to present their remarks. There will be no more than 10 individual speakers during this portion of the meeting. Do not give or defer your time slot to another person, excuse me. All remarks must be addressed to the president or the board of presiding officer. And as always, most questions related to schools can be answered by responsible school official by calling during business hours. Written questions may be addressed to school staff, department director, central administration, or to the Board of Education by contacting the district clerk here. We'll begin. Our first speaker I have on my list is John Carilla. Are ready, Mr. Carilla?
There we go. Good evening, everybody. So just a quick conversation. A week ago, the New York State Blue Ribbon Commission on Graduation Measures was released. 47-page document that I have created a little bit of a cheat sheet for everybody to review. So they always said that when we came into education that things repeat themselves. I feel like I'm reliving goals 2000. We are, and those that are in, Paul, you're old like me. So what we're dealing with here is that New York State engaged a wide swath of New York State. They created a commission, and they came up with these recommendations. They're going to change the way we look at graduation measures so that we finally match what's happening in many other places across the nation. I don't want to, you have the ability to read. I'm just going to go through a couple of the pieces that are here. So instead of having 3 diploma types, we'll have 1. We'll be dealing with the seal of biliteracy, the seal of civic readiness, and other accolades that can be added along with it. STEM will become a primary focus for New York State. Working, and I would say in a holistic way, trying to create some exemptions for unique circumstances. And I would say the students that come to us as ELLs in their senior year, and kids who suffer great loss in their senior year may actually have a diploma conferred upon them. We're looking at capstone projects for senior year, which to me is a dynamic process. The ability for kids to be able to say, we're going to take all of our learning and create one big project at the end of the year. To me, as a teacher and focusing on what we're going to be looking at, it's the policy development. And we know sometimes that New York State, very well intended with the commission, when it comes to actually developing the policy is where the rubber hits the road. And I hope that when that occurs, then they actually do engage many more of our school system leaders and superintendents and the teachers that are going to be doing the work. The commission, also left a few things that, I don't want to leave off this. It's adequate funding must be provided to local school districts to implement these important shifts. As we go through this, there's going to be a big lift and a transition, and it's not something that can be dropped in 1 year. I really anticipate they're going to be looking at this and saying the graduating class of, and looking down probably 8 years so that they can build capacity along the way. Advocacy and education to all stakeholders would be imperative in supporting the recommended paradigm shifts in assessment, credit distribution, and single diploma type. So they're going to be looking to us to actually guide the process. Engage providers of professional learning to support current P-12 educators in facilitating students' attainment of the skills in the portrait of a graduate and meaningful life-ready credentials. So thank you for your time. Just, give it a read.
Thank you. Sarah Delaney Gring is next.
I have 2 children in the district. I am from Maine and Virginia and would label myself as a moderate. I believe public systems serve the public. Public education is about what's best for society as a whole. I also believe I can opt out of those systems if I'm unhappy or so choose. I can homeschool or privately educate as I see fit, and I have. Public education is just one aspect of my children's growth from childhood to adulthood. I do not expect education to substitute parenting. My job as a parent is, number 1, raise good humans, and number 2, prepare my children for the world. Not the world I hope this world will become, not the world I think it should be, the world as it is. I believe there are 2 types of parents: those who try to modify the world for their children under the philosophy and illusion of protection, and those who stand beside their children, holding their hands, looking outward together. I do not control my children, shield them from grit or things that are uncomfy. The hardest work of parenting is accepting change, being real and authentic, and teaching children about this world. There is no topic I won't engage with my children on, and no topic they are scared to bring me. It is my job as a parent to teach my children how to think, not what to think. It is my job to hold their hands while their eyes become increasingly open to the world they are living in and will be expected to live in without me protecting them at a certain point. Children are not property just because they are not yet 18 years old. They deserve to be treated with respect like any human. I find it far more rewarding and desperately more important to focus all of my energy on raising aware, kind, and strong humans. I want to be confident that they can handle anything they encounter in their lifetimes with balance toward consideration for their fellow man, strength of character, and grace. I refuse to spend 1 minute of my life trying to make society add bumpers for my children because I'm worried my children will come home with a hard question for me. I am 100% in support of children using whatever bathroom they feel safe using. I am 100% in support of everyone using whatever bathroom they feel safe using. I am 100% in support of everything not being about bathrooms all the time. I am also 100% in support of any book any librarian in this district wants to have on their shelf. I am 100% in support of inclusion, diversity, and the world as it is. If that means more conversations at home, great. I welcome them. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Seth Wilhelmi. I hope I said that right.
I'm a current student at CNA. I believe that everyone should have an option to learn whatever they'd like. And I feel as though people who aren't in my position should dictate that. I feel that should be left up to what students want to learn and what people want to learn in general. That's really it. I didn't prepare anything, but I just wanted to speak.
Thank you. Jessica Soulier.
I am trying to wrap my head around the complaint and appeal process for library materials. Filed the complaint on 9/22, and I have followed every procedure and deadline and waiting period I was told. On 10/11, I received a response from the school principal stating all books were suitable for the school and will remain in the library. I appealed it and spoke at 10/23 at a meeting with many other concerned community members and parents. 9 days later, on 11/3, 21 books were removed from the junior high library. Those books were glorifying school shootings, shooting police officers, students, your parents. So good that they were removed. The remaining books, of the ones that I had complained about, there was 13. They are pornographic, overly sexually explicit and violent. I do have conversations with my son and my children about these topics. However, there is something called adults making adult decisions to see what's best for children. They talk graphically about detailed rape, molestation, incest, and in some books, bestiality. They are given written and visual how-tos on performing sexual acts, and I'm not going to say because there's kids in the room. Some of them also talk about forcible sex being someone who just wants you really bad, and it's actually a distorted compliment. So it's kind of glorifying rape. These are things that kids that are 12 to 15-year-olds are reading. Maybe with our documented reading scores, I shouldn't be worried at all, but I still am. Remaining books are now in appeal process, and the what's going to happen is very vague. I've been told the same things, but pretty much there is no time period that the board has to come up with a representative committee, and that can take any amount of time. However, I just find it odd that it took 9 days to remove 21, and I filed this complaint on the 10th. And I'm being told now that it'll be looked at after Thanksgiving break. So I'm just wondering if I can get clear answers on what the process is. I have followed them. I'm open to conversation. And I'm asked again, it says in your board policy that the committee should include a combination of administration, parents, and the community, school librarian, teachers, students, and other qualified personnel. It states parents. Nowhere currently in the policy does it state that the parent that filed the complaint can't be in the committee. There are people on the committee that have already openly voted that they would like it to stay, so they're a little bit biased. So I'm wondering why or who is making up that committee. So I'm still requesting information. Again, I'm frustrated, but not going away. So I do have some some questions I'm just going to leave with Jillian, and hopefully they get answered in a timely manner. Thank you.
Thank you. Catherine Leo, next.
Hello, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Catherine Leo. I am a teacher at our high school. I'm here to talk to you about our esports program. So as one of the coaches for these incredible students, I'm excited to brag a little bit about their accomplishments this season. We have a bunch of them with us here tonight. So thank you all for showing up. So thanks. Don't clap yet, it gets better. At the high school, we have 2 teams playing Mario Kart, a 4-player team-based racing game, and 2 teams playing Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, a one-on-one fighting game. Both leagues are comprised wholly of school districts located across New York State. Heading into the playoffs next week, our 2 Super Smash Bros. Ultimate teams are ranked 32nd and 4th in a league of 79. Our Mario Kart teams are ranked 4th and 1st in a league of 31. Not only are we ranked 1st, we are the only undefeated team left remaining in the league. So many of those players, like I said, are here tonight, and I'm so proud of them. Thank you for being here. You're my favorite people in the world. But wait, there's more. So esports is more than just playing video games. As a rising sport as a high school and collegiate level, it is giving our students an opportunity to build a variety of 21st century and STEM-centered skills while opening opportunities for scholarships and collegiate programs. Players are building skills in teamwork, collaboration, critical thinking, problem solving, and adaptability. Additionally, students receive exposure to STEM skills, including digital literacy, coding, hardware and software management, and video production. We have big plans to capitalize on those skills and rising student interest. We're hoping to one day live stream our games and increase awareness of the program so that we can get supportive spectators cheering us on. Students interested in video production can edit highlight reels for our morning announcements program and our YouTube channel. Those interested in broadcasting can be shoutcasters and provide color commentary for our viewers. With a little time and investment, we can build this program up to be on par with the neighboring districts and even OCC. With all this said, our esports program really wants to grow, but we've hit a ceiling. Currently, we do not have the space or equipment to expand and accommodate the growing number of students interested in participating. I hope that you see our current success as proof that this program is worth investing in. If we can be first in the state with only 10 students, 4 Nintendo Switches playing in a small shared classroom off the library, imagine what we can do with a dedicated space, gaming computers, and dozens of active, interested students. Thank you, and congrats again to our #1 undefeated Mario Kart team.
And Nick Edwards. Bond. I'll ask for a motion to put before us the minutes of the meeting of November. I skipped an entire section. I did, okay, Board of Ed committee reports. I'm going to begin with Policy Committee, a report from Mr. Thorne. Thank you.
Thank you, President Parpalia. This past week, the Policy Committee met and we reviewed 9 policies which are on tonight's agenda for board readoption.
Crabtree.
Our next legislative committee is December 6th. I'll go on to the BOCES report. Each of you received today a report from me. I want to talk about a few items. On October 25th, the Career Technology Advisory Committee met, and this is a committee of businesses, board members, and staff. And I'm very thrilled to say 2 former CNS students represent businesses on this community. And we should be very proud. They went through our school system and now are out in the community helping BOCES. Some sad news is the resignation of Todd Mulvaney, who's director of Section 3 athletes. It's basically because of a travel and family obligation. So we'll be looking for a new director of Section 3 athletics. Leah Falter, who is at the Onondaga Central School District right now, has become our assistant director of facilities. The presentation that we had, and I've talked to Chris about this, was the Puerto Rican Hispanic Youth Leadership Institute that consists of 10 districts and 56 students. These students have a chance to meet with other students in other districts and then go to Albany to participate in a leadership institute. And that is it for BOCES. I know John talked about this and we talked about it at length, the new portrait of what a graduate is going to be. Thank you.
Thank you. Superintendent's comments, Mr. Bowles.
Thank you. This past Tuesday, we had the pleasure of going on a tour of BOCES. I'm going to leave that because I know other people are going to comment about the experience at during our tour. But as you will hear, it was truly an amazing experience, and we should be proud of our students and what they're doing at BOCES. I do want to comment on, we had students here that had performed in Arsenic and Lace. And again, the things that we do at a very high quality, and we have very talented students. And also at Arsenic and Lace, we do have students behind the scenes that you don't always see, but called 4D productions that do the sound, the lighting. And I sat with the new director of fine arts, and he was tweeting things out and commenting to other people
how impressed he was. And that was his first show that he saw as far as what we do, and he was very impressed. I do want to comment on our students here, esports, and congratulations. And they are correct that there are opportunities at the college level. So there are scholarships. And one of the things that I found out at the end of last year, that with esports, the activity is growing so fast. It's bigger than the music and film industry combined as far as opportunities. So there are definitely career opportunities for people in coding of these things, and as far as the sports and gaming industry. Last week was Kindness Week. Each day there was a different activity, and it was impressive to see all across the district, everyone bonding together to be kind to each other. And I believe that that is it for my comments. Thank you.
Board of Education comments. Start with you.
You know me,
Nope.
I got ahead of Josh. I just want to piggyback on Mr. Bowles. The high school play was amazing. These students to me are like professionals. The stage, the acting, congrats. I am so very happy. You don't know how happy I am when Don Keegan and Mr. Bowles said that every school, you know what I'm going to say, every school in our district, every student will get a free breakfast and free lunch every day. This board, the legislative committee, John Mannion, Al Sturpey, Pam Hunter, we have been working to have this moment. Don, thank you so much for your work in this, and please let Wendy Swift, she works so hard, not only with our district, with others. It's made me really feel a celebration that every child will not have, or will have the opportunity to have something to eat in school. Adulting 101. I had the opportunity on Friday to go up and do a little role playing with some students. They all did a resume, and there were probably 20 business people and service people there. What a great class. Went from one section last year to 2 sections, second semester, and now she's up to 4 sections. Allison is a former student of mine, and she loves this program, and she's so good with these students. What a great program. And as you said, every student should be in this program. And the last thing was on your table, Dollars for Scholars is doing an ornament sale at CNS colors, green and blue. So you all have a sheet. If you're interested in them, please fill it out and send your money in, because it's a great gift for somebody at Christmas time. And that is it, Mr. President.
Great, thank you. And Mr. Ludden.
Thank you. Yeah, I promise to be brief. I wanted to, again, congratulate the esports team. I also want to congratulate Mike and Catherine, because starting a sports team from scratch is very difficult. So good for you. And #1 in the state is not easy. The one other thing that I want to say, and Dan, I know you touched on this, was Kindness Week was last week. And, you touched on the students were getting a lot out of it, but I also know, a few staff members that it really made a difference for their week to see their kids connecting with one another in a different way and connecting with staff members and things like that. So, those are the types of things that really go a long way. So I don't know who put it together or how it was done, but thank you to whoever it was and doing all that.
Not sure if Mrs. Goldberg was promoting it, but I'm sure there are many people behind the authoring of that activity.
Comments? To Mr. Wills. Yes, we have a special spot for you. It's all yours. Go.
Alrighty, so first thing I wanted to get into was the fact I had the pleasure of visiting the BOCES facility this past Tuesday. And I thought I'd just say that it's truly a wonderful program. It seems to provide almost everything that a student that doesn't feel fulfilled by a traditional education could want. Hands-on learning is great, but I think the part that really makes BOCES so powerful is the passion that they harness. Students have to go to school, whether they like it or not, but they can choose to go to BOCES. And I think that choice itself is very motivating. as I went through the classes, I could see, hear, and even feel the radiant passion emanating out of these fellow students. I mean, I could even taste it in their food during lunch after the tour. I mean, seriously, guys, go get their food from Bosie's sometimes if you can. Like, it is so good. I would, yeah, it's amazing. Uh, as for CNS High School, there's been a lot to celebrate. As you've seen this past few meetings, it seems like we can't get these kids out of the board meetings. They're like overrunning them at this point. But I'd also like to say that for what I talked about the high school a few sessions ago, students have largely accepted the bathroom lanyard system. A lot of the comments made previously just seemed to be because it was like a sudden change. People were like, "Whoa, we want to make it go back or do something different," and it seems like now they've like seen all the benefits of it, which a lot of it is just the fact that the lanyard system over the agenda system doesn't really interrupt learning time. And in terms of the sanitization I had mentioned before at the previous meeting, they actually now they provide ample sanitization methods if students so want to clean the lanyards in a variety of methods, whether it's with sanitizer itself or with sanitizing towelettes. And concern I would like to bring kind of district wide that I've heard a lot of students talk about as we've gotten into like getting closer and closer to the construction projects that are going to be happening over the next few years at CNS. Students have started talking about if there is any sort of school or district policy in regards to putting a hold on construction plans during mandatory testing, such as regents or state exams, because there are many people that have said and have actually dealt with like having construction or some sort of distraction during their testing, and they just think that they would do a lot better in a more calm, quiet environment. So yeah, I was just curious if there is actually a district policy for something like that. And yeah, that's basically all I have to say. Thank you.
Say, there's no district policy, but practice, and we've done it at all levels through state testing, and we can do that for regions. So it's just a matter of our bi-weekly construction project meeting time, and we can make it that a point of emphasis.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I will now move on and ask for a motion to consider minutes of November 6, 2023. Motion from Mr. Thorne, second from Mr. Grew. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Thank you. Motion, please, for items B, C, and D, if I may. Motion from Dr. Kramer, second from Mr. Moody. All right, we have B, C, and D before us. These are the placements of the disabled students. School and home instruction by the various committees. Discussion. Not all in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. And business office reports, acknowledgement of those. Item E, a motion to put that before us. Dr. Kramer, second from Mr. Wuzik. Those are before us. Questions? Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. That is carried. Acknowledgement of gifts, item A, please. Motion, please. Mr. Murizio, second from Mr. Herman. Any discussion, questions, comments? All in favor? Opposed, and those are carried. And B, the resolution authorizing participation in New York State. Whatever MEC stands for electricity. Motion from Mr. Thorne, second from Mr. Grew. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. And the natural gas authorization participation resolution. Motion, please, Mr. Murizio, second from Mr. Thorne. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Here we have a request to nominate the Area 4 Director for New York State School Boards Association. If I get a motion, place that before us. Motion from Dr. Kramer, second from Mr. Moody Wuzik. Okay, that is before us. This is a roll call vote, as we've heard and Bob has discussed that we don't have a second one, so we don't have to make a decision. Yep.
Nobody else, then there will not be an election. Jill will just write like a 2-sentence statement. And as I said, he's from the Area 4, obviously. He's worked with president, so I'm hoping that you will support.
Hopefully, maybe we can get him up here to speak to us
Yeah,
at
that
some
will-
point.
we
Yeah.
will work on that.
So he's on the Broome Tioga BOCES board and also the Windsor School District Board. Yep. And as you mentioned before, he's replacing Sandra Rufo, who's moved on to be president of NSCSD. So any discussion or comment, just want to give a little background on that. Okay, all in favor? Opposed? I said it was a roll call. I just didn't. Aye. Thank you. That is carried. Motion, please, for the resolution to create a special ed class at Lakeshore Elementary Road. Motion, Mr. Thorne, second from Mr. Ludden. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. And a resolution to create .2 occupational therapist, physical, and .2 speech therapist at Norfolk's early education program. Mr. Ludden made some motion, second from Mr. Grew. That is before us. Any questions or comments on that? We had a write-up on that. Okay, seeing none. All in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. And resolution to create bus driver and attendant for special needs bus route. Mr. Ludden makes a motion, second from Mr. Moody Woosick. That is before us. Questions, concerns? Having none, all in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Motion for the declaration on non-marketable and marketable. Dr. Kramer is a motion before us, second from Ms. Segru. Any questions on that piece? Okay, all in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. As far as the policies, I'm gonna ask for a motion to place all 9 of those together, and then if we want to pull one out, we can, but if I get a motion for I through Q. Motion from Mr. Thorne, second from Mr. Ludden. So we have the policies that review. These are all policies for readoption. Are there any questions or any one in particular that needs to be pulled up? Okay, seeing no comments or questions or concerns, all in favor? Opposed, and those are carried. Thank you very much. And an acknowledgement of retirements, we have 2 that are retiring mid-year one and then at the end of the year another. We have Linda Dwyer, business teacher, retiring with 29.4 years of service. And Andrea Hartwell, special education teacher, will retire with 32.5 years of service. So congratulations to them. Luck and have a long retirement. Personnel report A, a motion, please. Motion from Mr. Thorne, second from Dr. Kramer. That is before us. Oh, I have a question. There's I see the different kinds of leaves. There's something called an educational leave that I don't typically see. Can you just tell me, is that a contractual thing or? Okay. Okay, that was this. I typically haven't seen. All right, thank you. Other comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Support staff personnel B, please. Motion from Mr. Thorne, second from Dr. Kramer. Questions or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. And administrative personnel report C. Motion from Mr. Thorne, second from Mr. Ludden. That is before us. Any comments? I'll make a comment just because it's Mr. Stone on there that just to send a thanks for the work and service he's given to this district and to wish him luck in his new position in January. Favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Thank you. I'm going to make a motion for executive session. I'll ask for a second. The motion is a move into session, executive session, for the purpose of reviewing one personnel matter with no action to follow. Second from Mr. Maurizio. Any discussion, questions? All in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. And a motion for adjournment, please. Motion from Mr. Maurizio, second from Mr. Ludden. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. We are adjourned 7:40 PM. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody who stayed around. Appreciate it.